there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Friday Night Spotlight, brought to you by 911 Air Repair, your local air conditioning experts specializing in maintenance, repair, and new installations. This is week 4 for us. We have a pretty awesome game on tap this week. We have the Gila River Bowl. Struggling here with my words. I'm sorry, folks. But yeah, we have the Gila River Bowl going on this week. Florence will be traveling up to sideways, whichever Santan Foothills is located for them. But yeah, it's going to be the Gophers and the Sabercats going at it. And, you know, the past couple of years, this has been a really intriguing matchup for us. For the most part, Florence has gone in as the better team, at least on paper. But Santan Foothills has managed to come away with a couple upsets, the biggest one coming last year. Looking at this year's matchup, though, however, I think, you know, Florence is actually going to get the job done. They're coming into this game with a 2-1 record. They're coming off a big win last week against Stafford. They won 29-26. They hadn't led for the whole game until pretty much the very end when Logan Stenson ran in a 92-yard touchdown to give the Gophers the lead. And you know, it's gonna look like we're a little bit biased here with the Gophers, given that this is our third consecutive week speaking about them. However, rightfully so, you know. Florence, like I mentioned it before, I believe they're one of our top teams in the county. Logan Stenson is a big reason for that. Josh Jackson as well, their running back. But a guy I really got to point out who got a lot of things done for them last week is Malik Smith. Did a tremendous job. And then just defensively, Michael Martling, Kanan Neal, Zayden Cundiff, just a couple guys who can put a lot of pressure on this Sabercats backfield. David, you've had a chance to see Santan Foothills. What can we expect from them?
Yeah, I've gotten to see both Foothills and Florence, especially when they were both up at NAU playing their respective games up at NAU. You know, this is a really good matchup, like you said, because both of these teams have really stepped up the level of competition in the last couple of years. I would say Florence has stepped up just a little bit more than Santan Foothills, especially after Foothills lost a little bit of senior talent last year. A lot of good leaders like Bo Cotherman and Roy Kimball Martin were two guys that were really big for them on the senior leadership wise. So that's the big question going into this game. Who are going to be the guys that step up for Foothills? Because they have a lot of young guys that are stepping into starting roles for the first time. They're getting their feet wet the last few weeks, the start of the season. So it's definitely going to be a test of can they continue to improve on their mistakes that they've made so far and just be an all-around better football team. So, you know, Florence, like you said, the story is there. Logan Stenson and Josh Jackson are always going to make this team go. They're one of the best quarterback-running back duos that we have to offer in Pinal County, and it's to their merit. They are a really solid pair that are going to put a lot of pressure on this Foothills defense that has made mistakes in the past. They almost gave up the game against Tempe when they went up to Flagstaff to play them, and you know the mistakes kept mounting up for Foothills, and they really need to make sure that they can fine-tune those. They had a lot of fumbles, and on the offensive and defensive side, they really need to make sure they're able to tune it up a bit because Florence is going to take advantage of that very quickly. A guy I want to point out for Foothills, though, is their quarterback, Dalton Norman. I've been a big fan of his since he was he stepped into the role last year as a sophomore at quarterback. They didn't really use him that much. They didn't really need to. They're more of a run-heavy offense, but he is getting his own in this part of the season as a junior. He's been able to pass really well and also run for his own, so he's definitely been a guy to look out for. So this is going to be a really good matchup in my eyes. I still think I give the edge to Florence just in the sense of, you know, this team has a lot of expectations, and this team expects to be in the playoffs and, you know, continue to elevate themselves after what they did last year. So I'm going to take the Gophers in this one, but I expect Foothills to still put up a tough fight because they put up a tough fight in every game they play. That's one of the big qualities that they have. They're always going to be able to scrap and try to pull out a win. I think Florence is going to take it in this one, but I'm still expecting a really good matchup.
All right, now transitioning over to our other games to watch. David, what do you have your eye on this week?
I am looking at Poston Butte going up against Campo Verde. Now, if you look at the records here, this could be a game to win for Poston Butte, but you have to keep in mind that Campo Verde is not only a 5A team, but they face two really tough teams in their first 2 weeks, going up against Higley and going up against Millennium. So this is a team that's definitely going to look to try and get that first win of the season and try and take advantage of Poston Butte here. So Poston Butte is going to have to stick to what they're famous for, and they're famous for their running game. They have done that throughout their tenure as a program. Guys like Ja'Kai Robertson and Michael Whitman are going to be huge for them moving forward. Ja'Kai has been kind of a guy that's been with them for so long that he just hasn't really been able to have that opportunities as much. They really rely on their senior talent at Poston Butte, and now he is at that senior level. He is getting those looks that he wants, and he has looked really solid so far this season. Jakai's always been a guy that I think could definitely be a game changer for them. Same thing with Whitman. Whitman has looked really solid as well. They don't rely on one specific running back every year. It's always been a carousel of guys. It's always been a very deep running back room. I expect the same thing against Campo Verde, to try and take him by surprise a little bit and just continue to plug away and just pound the ball on the ground. Campo is still going to be a tough matchup for them. I'm going to take Campo in this competition. I think they're really just itching to get that first win, and Poston Butte may just still be a little bit inexperienced. They have some guys that are stepping into new roles like Santan Foothills at 4A. So I'll take Campo in this one, but I think Poston Butte still has a lot to look forward to the rest of the year. Once they get kind of their feet on them a little bit more, they'll be a good team.
All right, and my game to watch is another Pinal County matchup. It is Coolidge traveling up to Combs, and Coolidge got their first win last week. We thought it was going to be quite the opposite, but Coolidge came away with the win over Santa Cruz Valley, and a big reason for that was their defense. Andre Dukes had 3 sacks for 13 yards. Eleazar Acosta, 12 total tackles, 5 for a loss. Jordan Johnson came up with a big play, had an interception, and ran it back for a 55-yard touchdown. Also, offensively, they managed to establish some type of offense. Coolidge got their running game going with Maurice Glass and Javante Wall. They combined for around 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. And looking at Combs, it's been a brutal start to the season for the Coyotes. They are 0-2 so far, and injuries are a big factor for them. And not just minor injuries. I'm talking like major, possibly missing out the whole season. They've had guys with a broken foot, a broken ankle, torn ACL, and MCL injuries. So it's just a very rough start for the Coyotes this year. Their game last week against Mesa Eastmark, it was only a half because of our monsoon storm that rolled in and delayed everything. Game ended up being called because Eastmark was already up 51-0. Combs just struggled in every facet of the game, just defensively, offensively, they couldn't move the ball, and I think this might be kind of a turning point for them going up against a 3A team like Coolidge. They might be able to gain some footing. However, I'm going to take Coolidge in this one. I think the Bears are just going to have a little more stability and players available with a lot of athleticism that can get the job done. Real quickly, here are our picks for this week. Turns out last week was a better showing for our Pinal County teams than the previous week, when pretty much almost everybody except for a handful of teams won. And I do got to give Maricopa a shout out for getting their first win. They snapped a 19-game losing streak and got head coach Tevin Rutherford his first win as a head coach in his second season. David, is there anything else you would like to add?
Other than me trying to get my personal picks set out and put in order here to actually get a win this year, no, I got nothing else. Got to pick it up.
All right, and that does it for this episode. Be sure to tune into Pinal Central for all of your local sports coverage.